All right. Well, we're here with one of the co-founders of Field Environmental Instruments, Mitchell Brourman. Mitch, I know it's been a very busy day for you today, but thanks for coming around and getting the time to do this. And yeah, how you doing today?
Good,
Good.
Alex. Thanks for having me on the inaugural version of FEI today.
Hmm.
Appreciate it. It's been a great morning already, and looking forward to finishing up. And thrilled about this segment you guys are putting together. So
Perfect.
thanks for having me.
So I understand that there are some new regulatory updates involving air monitoring for upcoming cleanup sites in the state of New Jersey. Care to elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure.
Yep.
So obviously, folks out there are going to be familiar with the fact that both regulation and guidance are changing across the board in the environmental world and change on all different levels. And occasionally, we will see some of those changes that will actually affect some of the work that we do here at Field Environmental or at Field Data Solutions. In particular, this year, finally in December of 2023, the state of New Jersey put out its technical guidance requiring perimeter air monitoring at cleanup sites. I understand after attending a 2 day training class back in February that it took about 20 years to actually get this technical guidance document together and to get it promulgated. And I also understand that it was supposed to come out about 4 years ago before COVID. We had heard some things about it, but they finally got the last work done on it, and it actually came out in its first draft version in December of 2023. I think interesting in those guidance is it establishes a concept of health-based threshold values. And they put out a calculator for folks to actually use to determine threshold values for each of the sites, which is different than other states have done, where there's basically threshold values that have been published and you just use those. In the state of New Jersey, they're actually allowing the flexibility or mandating the requirement, depending on your perspective, of having you actually calculate site-specific values for your perimeter air monitoring program. So that's one of those unique features about it. In addition to the health-based threshold value calculator, one of the other unique requirements, as I understand it from this program, is that they're also going to require physical air sampling for a background period in addition to real-time data collection. So you'll be doing both of those activities side by side, which actually makes a lot of sense because now you'll have a baseline that is complemented with analytical results to compare to your direct read instrumentation that would be deployed for the long term of the effectuation of your remediation. So it will give you something to compare the data that you're getting from direct read instrumentation to, should there be an excursion or some kind of event.
So those regulations that you're talking about, they sound very familiar with another state, that of New York. Can you elaborate a little bit on the similarities between the two?
Sure. So folks out there might be familiar with the perimeter air monitoring requirements that are currently enacted in the state of New York, and particularly for various cleanup programs. We're more familiar with the stuff that's going on relative to the brownfields or the voluntary cleanup program, for example, at several of the sites that we've been working on. Those requirements are slightly different. They don't have the requirement for the actual air sampling component that the state of New Jersey has. In addition, the health-based threshold value concept is really not used. There, they've actually given standards and they've established those standards for everyone to use, as opposed to calculating site-specific standards or thresholds that they would have in New Jersey. In addition, there are some timing issues. The state of New Jersey's program is only in effect for sites where the disruption is going to occur for a period of longer than 20 working days in an individual month, or where there is a requirement because of a nearby receptor or sensitive receptor. The state of New York's program doesn't really have those kinds of caveats. They say essentially if you're disturbing the earth while you're out there working, whatever those activities might be, and for whatever duration they might be, it's a requirement to have this data being collected out there. And so there are some definite differences between the two programs. I'm sure in the state of New Jersey, as they work through this, they will come to some modifications associated with the sort of layman's implementation, where we'll get into a flow like we are up in the state of New York. But it is a dramatic change for the state of New Jersey to actually require these. A lot of our customers previously were collecting this data, but it wasn't because it was a requirement. It was because they had concerns about the possible effects to offsite receptors or nearby receptors. And so this throws a whole new gamut into that equation of the requirement of that activity.
Gotcha.
By the way, Alex, just I should mention to everybody, so we're taking all the copies of these documents. They're going to be up on the Field Environmental Instruments website, so people will be able to see the reference information that we're looking at. They'll be able to get that, and I believe that's going to be under the Resources tab. And so we're going to post up these requirements up there.
Awesome. And Field Environmental sounds like a great resource to use with these upcoming new regulations and keeping up with them. Absolutely. So, Mitch, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. And we're going to take it back to Jared with special guest Ashik Kudabaksh and special segment on AI and social media.
Alex, it's been a pleasure being here with you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mitch.
Okay.